Good morning, students. So, today we are going to study about transportation in human beings. So, first of all, you should know what is transportation. Transportation is a life process in which a substance which is synthesized or absorbed in one part of the organism is carried to other parts of the body. So, we have two types of transportation. We have two types of systems in our body for the transportation. First is blood vascular system and second is lymphatic system. So first we will talk about blood vascular system. So what are the components of blood vascular system? It is heart, blood and blood vessels. Heart which pumps and receives the blood, then blood which is made up of red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets, and blood vessels like arteries, veins and capillaries. So first we will study about blood. So what is blood? It is a mobile reddish colored fluid that circulates in blood vessels, and components of blood are: it is made up of plasma, RBCs, WBCs and platelets. Now first, what is plasma and serum? So what is the difference between the two? So both are liquid portion of the blood. Plasma is the part of blood which contains blood clotting agent fibrinogen. It is present in the platelets. Okay, as platelet is a part of blood which contains blood clotting agent fibrinogen, while serum is the fluid part of the blood which does not contain clotting agent. Or you can simply say that plasma is the part of blood which contains platelets and serum is the fluid part of the blood which does not contain the platelets. Now, the very important mechanism from the examination point of view is the blood clotting mechanism or the blood coagulation mechanism. Students, please understand it very carefully. So what happens in this? When a tissue is wounded or a blood vessel is ruptured due to any injury, you say, the blood flows through it. And if this blood is not checked, if it is not stopped, it may cause an excessive loss of blood. Sometimes this great loss of blood even leads to death. However, the body has its own natural device of preventing the loss of blood by forming a blood clot, which plugs the injury and stops further flow of blood and also checks the entry of any pathogenic microorganisms. So the process of blood clotting is a complex process which is mainly initiated and maintained by the platelets which circulate around the body along with other blood components. So we have studied about the blood components of which platelets are the part. So platelets here plays an important role in blood clotting. So what is the mechanism? You see in this flow chart, this is the mechanism of blood clotting and it is very important, students. Understand it thoroughly. So what happen is, in the region of injury, first of all, wherever the injury is there in any part of the body, so injury, in the region of injury, the platelets rupture, injured tissue is there, ruptured platelets are there, and they release a substance called thromboplastin. Okay, so the first substance which is released when any tissue is injured and the platelets get ruptured. So from the platelets, there is a release of first substance, that is thromboplastin. It converts the protein prothrombin to thrombin. Okay, so in the presence of thromboplastin, prothrombin, which is present in the liver, so it converts protein prothrombin into thrombin. And here vitamin K is essential for the formation of prothrombin in the liver. So this prothrombin this is produced in the liver, and for the production of this, vitamin K is important. We always say that vitamin K is important for blood clotting. So vitamin K is responsible for the production of prothrombin in the liver. So prothrombin gets activated and it's get converted into thrombin. So thrombin then changes the soluble fibrinogen protein into fibrin, which is insoluble. Okay, and the latter goes rapid polymerization to form long fibers. The fibers form a network over the damaged region and trap the blood cells and form a blood clot. So this is the process, you can say, when injury is taking place. The injured tissue or the ruptured platelets, they release a substance called thromboplastin. Then this thromboplastin, in the presence of calcium ions, convert the prothrombin into thrombin. Again, this thrombin, in the presence of calcium ions, convert the fibrinogen protein, which is soluble, into insoluble form, that is fibrin. Okay, and then it leads to polymerization and clot formation. So this is about blood clotting. Next is the type of blood vessels. So blood vessels, if you talk about, we have three types of blood vessels: arteries, veins and capillaries. So if you see the diagram of these three, if you look at the diagram of an artery, it has a thick outer wall, small lumen. Lumen is a passage through which the blood flows. So it has a small lumen and thick layer of muscles and elastic fibers. So why artery is thick walled? Because it has to bear the pressure, because the pressure, the blood from the heart is coming under pressure, so it has to bear the pressure, so that's why it is thick walled. And if you talk about vein has a thin layer of muscle and elastic fibers. It has a large lumen and fairly thin outer wall. So it has thin outer wall because the blood which is coming through it is not under pressure. And capillaries are the smallest ones. They have very small lumen, a wall made of a single layer of cell. So if you compare these three, arteries, they carry the blood from heart to the rest of the body. Veins carry the blood from rest of the body to heart, and capillaries, they connect arteries and veins. Arteries carries mostly oxygenated blood, veins carries mostly deoxygenated blood, and capillaries carries both deoxygenated and oxygenated blood. Arteries, they have high pressure with thicker walls, and veins have low pressure with thinner walls, and capillaries walls only one cell thick for diffusion. Arteries have no valves, veins has valves, capillaries have no valves. Arteries, blood speed is fast, veins, blood speed is slow, and in capillaries, the blood speed is very slow. Why very slow? Because these are the parts from where the diffusion of the substances has to be taken place. The concentration of the substance from the higher to lower concentration, and the exchange has to be taken through capillaries. So that's why the blood speed is very slow, so that the exchange can take place through proper diffusion process. So next is function of blood vascular system. So we have a lot of functions of blood vascular system. If you see in the diagram, so see in the respiratory system, exchange of gases, exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place through blood only. And then blood carries hormones from the endocrine glands to the target organs where they are needed. And in the cells also, the exchange of gases and absorption of glucose takes place through blood. In the urinary system, the waste material and water is thrown out of the body by the process of filtration of blood. And then in the digestive system also, food and water is absorbed into the blood, and then it is transported to all the body parts. In addition to this, circulation of blood helps to maintain a constant body temperature also by distributing the excess heat from the deeply seated organs. You know that we are very complex structure, so we have deeply seated organs and they need to be regulated also, so that their regulation of temperature is also controlled by the circulation of the bloods. And then blood has a property of clotting also, that just now we have discussed. and the white blood cells acts as soldiers of the body by killing the bacteria and other germs. And the blood also acts as a buffer. Buffer means which can neutralize the base, okay, and it maintains a constant solute potential and pH. Now the very important organ of the body is your heart, the human heart. So the human heart is a hollow muscular organ. It is the size of our clenched fist, that is 12 into 9 centimeter approximately. Average weight of the human heart in males it is 300 gram and in females it is 250 grams. It is reddish brown in color, conical in form, situated between two lungs in the middle of thoracic cavity, surrounded by tough two-layered sac called pericardium. So if you look at the structure of the heart, we have upper two atrium and lower two ventricle. So the heart is divided into two parts. We have two halves and each half has an auricle or an ventricle. Okay, auricle and atrium are the same. Okay, if I say atrium or auricle, don't get confused, it means the same. Atrium is the singular, atria are the plurals for both right and left atrium. Okay, so first the oxygenated blood comes from the pulmonary vein. It enters from the left side. From the pulmonary vein it enters into the left atrium and it has a valve. You can see at the partition of left atrium and left ventricle we have valve that is called a bicuspid valve, or we also call it a mitral valve. Mitral, it is not value, it is valve. VALVE, mitral, MITRAL, mitral valve. So these valves are very important. Okay, and from the examination point of view also it is important. Why? What are the uses of these valves in the heart? To prevent the backflow of blood. Okay, so once the blood enters, once the oxygenated blood is coming from the lungs, it enters the left atrium through pulmonary vein and the left atrium, that time it relaxes and the blood is filled into the left atrium, and when there is a pressure then this valve is opened and the blood goes into the left ventricle. Okay, and then it starts relaxing, and when it gets filled up then immediately it starts contracting and it pushes the blood into the aorta. Aorta is the largest artery, so that takes the oxygenated blood into all the parts of the body through aorta. So this left part of the heart is taking the responsibility of the oxygenated blood. Now in the right part of the heart you can say we have right atrium and right ventricle. So right atrium and right ventricle, it is divided, you can say it is partitioned by a tricuspid valve. Valve again, not value, valve, tricuspid valve. So again the blood, the deoxygenated blood which contains carbon dioxide from all the parts of the body enter into the right atrium here through superior vena cava. From here the deoxygenated blood enters into the right atrium and it relaxes. So it gets filled up with the oxygenated blood, and when it is filled the pressure is created on the tricuspid valve, it opens and the blood comes into the right ventricle, and then again the valve closes. When the blood is coming into the ventricles in both the parts, so when the ventricles get filled, these valves are automatically closed to prevent the backflow of blood. So then the deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle goes into the pulmonary artery. So pulmonary artery is taking the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for the oxygenation. So you can say that heart is four-chambered. It is divided into two halves, and then the atriums and the ventricles are divided by the tricuspid valve and bicuspid valves, which are very important. Okay, and the left side is distributing the oxygenated blood to the various parts of the body, and in the right part the deoxygenated blood is coming from all the body parts and it is going to the lungs for the oxygenation. So this is the general overview of the circulation of the blood in the heart. Then now see the structure of heart. It is double pump divided by septa into two halves, two auricles or atrium, as I've already explained you. Okay, again it is just a revision. Two ventricles, valves are present between left atrium and left ventricle, and right atrium and right ventricle. Valves provide one-way passage and prevent the return of blood. Two valves permit the flow of blood from atrium to ventricle and not in the reverse order. Walls of heart are composed of special muscle cells called cardiac muscle fibers. Function of heart. So the sequence of events which takes place during the completion of one heartbeat is called cardiac cycle. And you should know contraction is called systole and relaxation is called diastole. So first step is joint diastole. Joint diastole means when the blood is coming into both the auricles. Okay, so in the left side oxygenated blood is entering, and from the right side deoxygenated blood is filling the right auricles. So joint diastole. Joint diastole means relaxation. So relaxation, both the auricles are relaxing when the blood is filling into them. Blood enters the two atria under low pressure in the veins. Vena cava pours deoxygenated blood into the right atrium, and pulmonary vein from the lungs pours oxygenated blood into the left atrium. Then next is atrial systole. Atrial systole means now the blood has filled into the auricles. Now the auricles will contract and they will come under pressure and the valves will open. See students, the process is taking place simultaneously in both the halves. Okay, means the two halves of the heart are working simultaneously. So double circulation is there. I'll tell you what is double circulation. So atrial systole, as the right and left atria fill with blood, pressure rises so that valves between left atrium and left ventricle, that is called bicuspid valve, and between right atrium and right ventricle, tricuspid valve, opens and contract. Atrial contraction, that is atrial systole. Systole means contraction, forces the pumping of deoxygenated blood from right atrium to right ventricle through tricuspid valve, and oxygenated blood from left atrium into left ventricle through bicuspid valve or mitral valve. Then third step, immediately ventricles contract. So now the ventricles are filled up with the blood and the valves are closed. It is called ventricular systole. Now deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle flows to the lungs through pulmonary artery, and the oxygenated blood from left ventricle is distributed to all parts of the body through the largest artery called aorta. Now, if you talk about assuming a healthy heart and a typical rate of 70 to 75 beats per minute, each cardiac cycle or heartbeat takes about 0.8 seconds to complete the cycle. See, just a fraction of a minute, you can say 0.8 seconds to complete one cardiac cycle. Now, let's talk about double circulation. So as I told you, what is double circulation? Double circulation means the blood is flowing to the heart twice. Okay, the two parts of the heart. The blood circulation in human heart is double circulation. This means that the blood passes through the heart twice for each circuit of the body. Okay, we have two circuits, oxygenated and deoxygenated. One circulation involves the entry of the blood from all the body parts. So if you see at this part, so one circulation involves the entry of blood from all the body parts into the heart. This one. So this vein is coming from all the body parts. It is bringing the deoxygenated blood into the right auricle. And the blood is deoxygenated, which goes to the lung for oxygenation. The second circulation involves entry of oxygenated blood from the lungs into the heart and then its distribution to all parts of the body. So double circulation is made possible because the human heart is divided into two halves. One half pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs and other half pumps oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. So that is called double circulation. Now next is blood pressure. So you might have heard the old age people, they are having blood pressure problems, BP problems, their blood pressure is not stable. So what is blood pressure actually? You know that blood heart is pumping the blood all the time. So the blood exerts a force against the walls of vessels called blood pressure. So when the heart is pumping the blood into the arteries, so there is a pressure of the blood, there is a pressure which is exerting a force against the walls of the arteries. So this is measured with the help of an instrument called sphygmomanometer. I repeat, it is measured with the help of an instrument called sphygmomanometer. So two types of blood pressure are there, systolic and diastolic. Systolic pressure is the pressure of blood inside the artery during ventricular contraction, and diastolic pressure is the pressure of blood inside the artery during ventricular relaxation. So when the ventricles are contracting, when they are pumping the blood, that time systolic pressure it is high, and diastolic pressure when the ventricular are relaxing means they're getting filled up with the blood, and that time the pressure is low. So see in the diagram, normal systolic pressure is 120 mm of Hg of hemoglobin. Normal diastolic pressure is, no sorry, here it is 80 mm of Hg. There's a mistake here. So normal diastolic pressure is 80 mm of Hg. It is 120 by 80 is the normal blood pressure of a human being, of a healthy human being. If there is by mistake it is 120 written here, so please correct it. It is 80, not 120. Okay. So see the process how the blood pressure is measured by sphygmomanometer. So first you can see the arm and it has an artery, so the blood is flowing normally, and when you there's a rubber cuff inflated with air. So when you strap your arm with this sphygmomanometer, so your artery is closed. You can see only the upper side of the artery is having the blood, and you are putting pressure on the cuff and it is blocking the artery is closed. So then this you can say it is the highest pressure. Now you when the ventricles are contracting, so the arteries are at high pressure. So this high pressure should be near about 120, and when you release the pressure in the cuff and the blood comes into the arteries, it should be the lowest pressure should be around 80. So then you get the reading of 120 by 80 mm of Hg. So this is sphygmomanometer. Okay. Now the second system, one was blood vascular system and the second was lymphatic system. Now what is lymphatic system? So there's one more system which is taking place in our body other than the blood system. There some fluids sometimes they escape from the tissues and the cells, and they join further into the venous system near the heart. So lymphatic system, you can say lymph or tissue fluid. Tissue fluid means it is a part of the blood only. Sometimes the plasma, you know the blood has plasma, sometimes this plasma from the capillaries they diffuse out and they form lymph. So some amount of plasma, proteins and blood cells escape into intercellular spaces from the capillaries in the tissues to form lymph. Similar to plasma, it is mostly similar to plasma but colorless and contains less proteins than plasma. Lymphatic system consists of lymph capillaries, lymph vessels and lymph nodes. Now lymphatic system, what is a lymph? Lymph is light yellow colored mobile fluid connective tissue which drains into lymphatic capillaries. It consists of plasma and lymphocyte cells. What are lymphocyte cells? Lymphocyte cells are special type of WBCs which fight against infection. It is also called as extracellular fluid, and it flows only in one direction from tissues to heart, and backflow is prevented by valves present in the major lymph vessels. Then, what are lymph capillaries? Lymph capillaries are blindly ending meshwork of thin-walled and highly permeable tubes having variable diameters, and they join to form larger lymphatic vessels. Lymph vessels, they are larger than the capillaries, large tubes resembling veins with non-return valves. They finally join the venous system near the heart. And lymph nodes or glands, lymph nodes, they are situated at intervals through the lymphatic system. These are masses of tissues wrapped in a capsule of fibrous tissue. Lymphocytes accumulate in the lymph nodes where they produce antibodies and remove bacteria and other foreign particles from the lymph. So lastly, functions of lymphatic system. So what are the functions? Lymph absorbs some of the fluid from the digestive tract. It passes proteins and digested fat from circulation to the tissues. Lymph drains excess fluid from extracellular spaces back into the blood. It carries carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste materials from tissues to the blood, and it protects the body by killing the germs. Okay, so this was about your transportation in human beings. I hope you are clear with it. So thank you.